Hey, let's get started. Hi, everyone, and welcome to June Town Hall. I'm Pippi Yates, co-founder here at Turn.io, and I'm super pleased to be with you all again, wherever you're joining us from today. This week, I'm dialing in from Cape Town, and this week we marked Youth Day in South Africa on the 16th of June, and it's a day that really honors the power of young people to drive change. And while I think I'm young, I don't officially qualify as a youth anymore, but definitely a youth at heart. It's a moment to reflect for us South Africans on how far we've come, but also how we prepare for the next generation of what's ahead. And right now, as a community and as a global community, we're standing at the edge of something big, a profound shift in the nature of work. And our youth today are going to enter into a workplace that looks very different from the one we recognize today. As AI and automation reshape our tools and our systems and our educations, we have a choice either to leave people behind or to build a future where technology opens up new pathways to dignity, opportunity, and impact. And no surprises here, but at Turn, we believe in that second path, and that chat combined with AI can help create more accessible, more human-centered systems that meet people where they are. And that's why I'm especially excited about today's session. We have an important guest speaker from Karya who's going to talk to us about the incredible work they're doing in this space. And we'll be sharing a bit later about a new initiative that we're launching on the product side that will make it easier for organizations to build more inclusive services going forward. So before that, I'm going to quickly give you an update on some upcoming events that we are taking a part in as the Turn community, where we'd love to see you if possible. So first of all, I'm coming to Delhi and to India next month. Super excited to meet with old friends and reach out to new potential partners. I'm speaking at the India Health Conference from the 11th to the 13th of July. So if you're attending, or if you're nearby in Delhi, or if you're generally in India, I will be traveling around a bit. Please do reach out and connect. I'd love to catch up with you and to hear what you've been up to and meet some of your faces in person that I haven't been able to before. Next, the full Turn team, the management team will be in Cape Town next week. So if you are in CT and want to reach out, please do connect with us. And last but not least, we're super proud that we've been selected into the UBS Global Visionaries cohort. This is a accelerator program for social entrepreneurs that Gustav, Praekelt, Simon DeHaan, and myself as three co-founders have been honored to be a part of. And we just want to say a big thank you to the UBS team for selecting us for that honor. So that's the news for today, but I'll hand over to my fellow global visionary, Gustav Praekelt.
Great. Fantastic. So I'm going to, very excited to be chatting to Safiya Husain from Karya. And it's a huge joy to be, it's always fun to be chatting to our organizations that we work with, but especially with Safiya, because we were just recently together in Morocco for the Mulago Fellowship, which is really fun and out of way place. I know a bunch of Mulago organizations are Turn customers and we work together, but Karya has got a very unique approach. They launched a gig platform a couple of years ago. We're going to talk a little bit about how that works. I mean, it brings together a whole bunch of stuff that's really exciting to me. First of all, it's a gig platform. It helps the most vulnerable and with gig work that didn't have access to work before. And the gig work is specifically around AI. Which is also really exciting at the moment and in the most populous country in the world, India. So Safiya and her co-founders are doing something really amazing here, which I think could be a model for gig work and piecemeal work, I think, across the world. And it touched on a whole bunch of really interesting topics around AI as well. A little bit of a background for the guys who don't know Karya and the work that Safiya and team have been doing. I actually only realized today that Safi, you were at Stir Education before. So her background is in M&E, and she was with Stir Education before that. The platform is wildly successful. They reach over, we're talking about scale and impact at scale. They reach over 100,000 people in 28 states in India. Um, they pay a minimum wage of $5 an hour, and we're going to talk a little bit about that because this whole idea of dignified gig work is really fascinating and interesting. And what makes it so compelling, they also have, as Kevin Stahl always likes to talk about, this idea of is it big enough? Certainly, they have a wildly ambitious goal to reach more than 100 million people and disburse over $1 billion by 2030. She's also, as I just mentioned, a Mulago Fellow, a Reiner Honor Fellow, and she's been selected as one of Forbes India's 30 Indian minds leading the AI revolution. So really exciting to chat to you, Safiya. Thanks for making the time. Maybe just kick off, like just tell me about this. Like, let's start with the grand vision, $1 billion by 2030. How are you gonna do that? And maybe explain to the team here. I think people know what gig work is, but specifically your take on this idea of dignified gig work. Like, just how do you guys think about that?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, first off, thank you so much, Gustav, and it's always great to be having a chat with you. So maybe I'll take the second part of your question first so that I can kind of set the stage of why it is that we're so focused on this word of dignity. So I think, I mean, for some of you who may not know, there is a huge, I guess, underground industry of digital gig workers. So specifically people that typically work like on a laptop that are there across the world generating data sets or fine-tuning data sets that are being bought by all of big tech companies to basically fuel almost every single model that we run on. So yes, a lot of models use scraping as their very original foundation, but now when you see all these specializations and all of this contextualization, it's all really done by people. There are over 1 million of them worldwide. And I think, unfortunately, one of the sad things about this is that those 1 million people that we have worldwide, because they're a part of the gig economy, they have one layer of invisibility. But because they're also part of a digital economy, there's extra invisibility, right? It's not like your Uber driver who you have a chance to see and maybe even give a physical tip if you want to. They're completely invisible. And so they're both not able to, I think, benefit from some of the tips and things like that your typical platform worker may. But they're also, unfortunately, paid on a task by task basis. I mean, we also pay on a task by task basis, but I can get into a little bit about how we ensure that's dignified. But when you pay on a task by task basis, you really run the risk of people being paid very little. And the ILO did this like really sad I guess, study in 2018 that showed that digital gig workers, I mean, in the global South, they can make somewhere as little as 30 cents an hour. The kind of average is a little bit higher at around $1, but that's still not great, right? It doesn't offer someone an opportunity to actually be socially mobile or do something powerful with that amount of money, right? If I'm only earning like 100 rupees, which is maybe like $1.25 in a day, but I maybe have spent 3 hours trying to do that work because let's say my work got rejected or all of these things, then I'm not really taking away with much. Moreover, a lot of the work that's being done is in the space of content moderation, right? Which is basically the reason why you and I can very easily, enter YouTube and not be subjected to garish content. Unfortunately, humans do sort through a lot of that content. And I think what we felt when we saw the status quo of the ecosystem was that there's no reason for this to be that way, right? A data set can sell from hundreds of dollars to thousands of dollars, let's say, per hour. There's no reason for that to translate into such a meager amount of earnings. And so for us, we did kind of two things that I think were very different. One is that we built a platform that was phone-based, which took out much of the overheads that a lot of these companies deal with. And second, we decided that there was no need to literally be, in some ways, I think, that greedy, right? There isn't a need for taking that much. There's still a potential to be taking home good profitable money while still giving people a livable wage, right? And so our big idea is, yes, gig work doesn't necessarily mean sustainable work right now, but that's all the more reason to try and give maximum injection of cash in the smallest amount of time. And that's really what we're trying to maximize for here. How can we give people cash to do what they already know how to do in a very short amount of time? So anyways, I guess that brought us to this goal, right, of wanting to distribute $1 billion in wages. And for us, this is in some ways, I guess, an ecosystem play, right? There's no way that us individually as Karya, as in any stretch of the imagination, going to be distributing $1 billion in like market wages. That would make us like one of the biggest companies in the world. We're not looking for a monopoly. What we're really looking for is for people to adopt our approach. And our approach is basically, you use a very simple platform that makes people feel comfortable with the space. For us, that is a phone-based platform. You pay people well for the work that you do. And you make sure that you're actively training people how to do that work so they can continue to do it, rather than just kind of, taking whoever can read out this sentence and paying them for that amount. And then finally, we believe categorically that content moderation, it's not needed, as in it's not needed to be done by humans anymore. We're definitely at the stage where we can be training AI to do this. We're just not doing it because it's cheaper to do it via humans. So we actually want to just push the entire ecosystem to do that differently. So we've actually started offering our platform through like a platform as a service licensing model, so that if anyone anywhere is interested in collecting data ethically and not doing content moderation, they can actually use our platform to collect that data from whoever they want to and facilitate the kind of easy distribution of wages. So for us, it's more of like, how can we change how the world is thinking about gig work? Because how it's thinking about it right now is fundamentally exploitative.
Yeah. No, super. I mean, it's just so exciting to hear this. And just to play this back to you, I think it's one thing I hadn't thought about before, but this what you said is like because gig work depersonalizes that connection with somebody, and I think that's a nice analogy. Like the Uber driver, you don't know the person who's doing the tagging for this gig work, and by making this connection more real and by protecting the rights of users, you creating more value there. I also one thing when you guys started out, because obviously right now it's such a hot space at the moment. You guys are doing specifically training around AI models. Was the original thinking always to be specifically around AI training, or is this a pivot that you guys made, in 22 or 21 when LLM started becoming like a big thing? Were you originally thinking about more like a general purpose gig platform and then you pivoted more into AI specifically? Because clearly that is right now like an amazing space to be working in and obviously a high value.
I mean, I think AI was always the direction, and that simply is because so my two co-founders, Manu and Vivek, they started Karya as a research project at Microsoft Research. And so obviously, I think already in the ecosystem of Microsoft Research, what they were thinking about was computational linguistics and language models in general, right? Even though we hadn't necessarily hit a GPT stage, there was a deep interest in how can we automate, ASR, which is your automatic speech recognition, your text-to-speech, speech-to-text, all of this was still technology that was, I think, emerging quite a lot then and has always been quite important in India. So for us, we actually started from a language perspective. Vivek started from a perspective of wanting to build something and like a language technology and not having good enough data to do it. And then going down the value chain, identifying where the data came from, and then actually seeing the whole other problem, which is why we actually decided to build this app.
I also like this idea that when you and I spoke in Morocco, you spoke about, because I think for a lot of people, this idea of AI training is just tagging, and people don't really think of it as a skill. And what you spoke about just now, this idea of training your users, I remember you said something about you've got different levels. You've got more entry level, you've got mainstream, but you also have advanced. And if I understand correctly, you are taking your workers on that journey as well. And so the idea is that they can progress and start making more money and do more advanced gig work as well.
Absolutely, absolutely. So how we kind of, I guess, internally tag it is seeing three main levels. And obviously in the advanced work, I would say there's a little bit of a split. There is a certain cap to which you can upskill someone to be able to be at a true advanced level, because at that level, often it's about what degree do you have, right? Often it's about like, are you a doctor and are you certified to actually be giving feedback, let's say on a healthcare LLM. But I think when you think about, people that basically come in with zero digital skills to people that have even the digital skills that you and I have, there is a huge potential for bringing someone that has never used the phone to actually getting them to a place where they can do extremely complex tasks that don't require any kind of knowledge background beyond their own language. I think that's been the biggest unlock for us, is realizing that people can do so many things as long as you break down the problem in a small enough and simple enough way that beyond having the need for like expert knowledge, humans can do pretty much everything. I mean, it's humans.
Yeah. So basically on the entry level, you literally could have users that your requirement is they need to have a smartphone, correct? And they need to install your app. I think one of the things that we spoke about, and also one thing I forgot to mention is Safiya and the team at Karya were also selected in our Chat for Women's Livelihoods Accelerator and have been a really core part of that team, and really exciting to see the way that you guys think about how to expand that. So maybe one thing, if you think about that entry level, the person needs to be literate. They need to have a smartphone, if I'm not mistaken, and you have an app that you guys install. So explain to us, maybe for the audience here to think about this. How do you see that growing? Like, I know we worked a little bit together on seeing that support for the end users around chat, and potentially also having onboarding journey that could be easier pre them having an application installed. So maybe just think a little bit about going forward. How do you see potentially, you spoke about language now, but how do you see chat technology and working with WhatsApp and those type of things fitting into your model? And also, how do you see other types of tasks growing in future?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, so I think just kind of touching on your first point about chat, I think chat and in general, WhatsApp and what it has kind of brought to the world, it has been one of the biggest unlock for us, right? So, I mean, WhatsApp, I think outside of maybe America, is the like messaging powerhouse, right? And even for people who, I mean, even in India, it's available on a feature phone. Like that is how prevalent it is. And there are so many people that will have digital literacy that is geared towards basically WhatsApp and YouTube, right? And so for us, one of the biggest unlocks we actually had is that we changed our entire app interface to look like WhatsApp, so that whenever someone is actually collecting data, even though they're not actually chatting with a chatbot, it feels like they are on a WhatsApp chat page. Which has helped a lot, for example, with things like trust. And so I think to kind of answer your point in terms of how are we thinking about maybe WhatsApp in the future, I think there are two ways that I think the engagement with your accelerator kind of unlocked for us, and we're going to be thinking about how we're going to explore those further. I think one is the point of onboarding, right? Well, we don't intend to, so we have 100,000 people that have worked on the platform so far. Well, we don't want to increase that number too much in the next 2 years. Obviously, I'm sure we will see at least 20 to 30,000 people being on. Right now, we do it in a very physical manner, so to speak. We work directly with like NGOs or self-help groups, and usually depend on either us going to the ground or a coordinator being there on the ground that kind of has the app installation process happen. We do sometimes use existing WhatsApp groups where we have, I think, a better connection to say like, hey, we have, this work, why don't you just download this? But I think it would be very interesting to see if there can be some sort of onboarding support function that can also be a part of that kind of initial WhatsApp process. Because right now we use just like basic groups. Like for the onboarding, like on scale, we just use like actual groups that we have like created with people. So I think that would be an interesting thing to see if we can leverage, I guess, people knowing about our WhatsApp number and things like that. So I think that's one kind of question we have, especially when we look at more digitally literate people. But the second part, and I think, sorry. Go ahead. No, I think the point that we're most excited about, and we think that there is like very, I think, long-term possibility for, is what we basically tested out in the accelerator, which is using WhatsApp as a part of our kind of help and support function. Because obviously we cannot have our employees ready to be on call 24/7. And there is a large amount of things that we can actually be able to sort with someone through a chat, like genuine chat on WhatsApp. So I think that's one area where we're really interested to see how can we get more and more of that done. I think though when it comes to just in general where we're thinking about work, I mean, I think interestingly, although obviously AI is going to be something that we believe is very important for like the next, 2, 3, 5 years, we're also thinking a little bit beyond AI to say, what is any type of digital work that can be done on a phone? Maybe be done on our platform. Maybe there are types of work that can literally happen. I mean, very early on, we used to do some level of work for like conversational data on Zoom because it had a better like data recording than, for example, WhatsApp did at the time, or even our app did at the time. So I think there is a lot of possibilities. At the end of the day, while we think our platform, it is very unique and it is a first of its kind, I think there is a lot of potential for it to expand and even for our modalities of work to expand, right? Can we do more in the IVR space? Can we even do more in the WhatsApp space? I think for us, it's more about any work that can be done on a phone in a dignified manner.
Yeah. No, I like that. Also because all the questions thus far were softball. So maybe a little bit of a harder question I think is related to this is we love this idea that you are making it available to anybody with a phone that's literate, that you are providing work in a place where it usually would not have been possible. But I think one question that does come up when people see these type of things is when we hear about AI, we worry about jobs being taken away. So, the one question that I'm sure is asked of you, and I'd love to have your opinion about this, is how do you think about the future? Like you say, the future of work. You're helping train these amazing new LLMs that are becoming smarter and smarter and can do more and more of what humans can do. How do you see yourselves helping to provide work for these workers in the long run when these LLMs are getting better and better? And just fast forward a couple of years from now, when you're reaching 1 billion users or 100 million users and $1 billion of disbursements, what are the type of tasks you think will be possible for them to do when LLMs have become so much smarter?
Definitely. So I think actually, I think and this is just more of a general comment, I think as AI becomes more and more adopted generally in the world, what is going to have value are things that have a genuinely human touch and element that for some reason is unreplicatable. So I think, so that's, I think, just like one broad. But when we think about, when the economists think about how AI is going to really impact, let's say over a 10-year period, there are a lot of, I think, models that say over a grand 10 or 15-year horizon, everything is going to be okay. We're not going to be too far off worse from where we are right now. Let's say we imagine that that's true. I think for us, the question is what is happening in that 10 to 15 years, right? If someone is in need of critical income right now, and that someone is, let's say, a 35-year-old person that is maybe in the prime of their potential earning, why should that person have to then wait to basically when they're nearing retirement age to be able to be in a world where perhaps AI hasn't taken away their jobs or things like that? So I think where we're really approaching this from is a level of skilling, right? Obviously, there's a certain amount of jobs that we or the AI industry or even the digital industry will be able to give. But I think there's also a whole host of new jobs that some of them we have an idea of what they may be, right? I think they may be more along the lines of your, human in the loop, AI plus human kind of assisted kind of work. But there are a lot of basic skills that people will need to have that right now, those who are not a part of the formal economy don't have, right? I think it's a mixture of digital skills and kind of life skills. So that's one of the things that we also kind of really want to share through our platform is making sure that whenever people are doing work, that we're able to actually certify them for certain types of foundational digital skills that they have, so they can actually start developing like CVs and things that they can take forward. Because one of my also, I mean, beliefs is that there is going to be a lot more gig work, right? Even jobs like, mine may transition that looks more gig work like, because that may just be how the entire world is moving. What we want to make sure is that people don't get lost in this transition, and that people have a little more bargaining power to understand, hey, I have worked on a platform before. I know how to do these skills, and maybe even I know how to negotiate here and there with the platform when it comes to, I don't know, support that I need or kind of a ticket that I raised, right? There are both types of skills that kind of exist. And so I think it really, I mean, there is a lot of importance to making sure that in a desire for a future that may definitely end up being better because of AI, you can't destroy what is there now, right? And especially when we're talking about livelihoods, right? At the end of the day, employment is labor, is jobs, is money. You can't just say that it's okay, it'll even out, because evening out means possibly millions and millions of people losing even more than they have right now.
Yeah. Well, I think just so inspiring that, and I think important to remember for the group here as well, and I'm sure this will spark a lot of thoughts here is, firstly, it's dignified work that's available right now if you've got a mobile device. Secondly, that you are paying way above like the normal minimum wage, and it's like I said, dignified and quality work. And thirdly, and I didn't realize that much of it until you and I chatted, and I think I just want to double click on that again, is that the users are being trained into other skills as well. So even though they might start with low-end skills and low-end tasks, they can skill up whilst they're doing this, and build up other skills, and then start doing other gig work over time. And I think that's really important. One thing about gig work that I think you mentioned as well is that most of these users are not full-time workers, so they are filling up, and adding to already a full day and adding additional work that they otherwise might not have been able to do because of their personal circumstances. I think maybe to close off, a last comment from you, also something I wanted to just say to the rest of the group here and the people on the call that you guys you mentioned briefly, but I just want to reiterate that you've launched a platform as a service offering. So in other words, and please correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe that other organizations can utilize your platform for gig work in other regions. You guys are focusing on AI skills specifically in India, but other organizations that want to do other kind of annotations or utilize or have a gig platform, that's kind of a scale program that you guys are building out. So it'd be great to close out a little bit around that, because I think that's part of a much larger vision of where you see this of gig work going. And then I just want to close out, maybe talk a little bit about that, where you see the platform going outside of just the work you're doing. And obviously want to thank you for just amazing work you guys have been doing and a great partner for ourselves. So over to you to close us out.
Well, thank you so much, Gustav, for the very nice ending. But I think, I mean, yes, just to I think close on this point of platform, because that is really the way that we believe that we are going to be able to share the specific vision that we have, right? I mean, I think it's like one thing to build standards and principles. I think there are already a lot of people in the ecosystem that are doing that really well. What we want to bring is a solution that literally says, if you are, wondering about how to make this happen, here is a solution. And I think what we've seen is that because we started in India and we've started with our platform, we've actually seen a lot of excitement even within India of, like, let's say, other NGOs or perhaps even like district level governments being interested in saying, how can we leverage this further? And so for us, I mean, well, obviously there can be the desire to have there be a Karya in every single country of the world. What makes an idea like Karya powerful is when the supply and demand are able to perfectly meet in this platform that acts as kind of this powerful mediating force that forces the demand side to do the work right and enables the supply side to kind of easily interact with the demand side, right? In a way that doesn't have them lose out on fundamentally what is safe work and what is dignity. But obviously there are ways that the solution needs to be customized, right? Like there are ways that in India for languages that don't have typical QWERTY keyboards, that we've actually had to like sit and design and find ways to help people and type. So that's why we want to say other companies that are interested in collecting, and there are so many of them. I mean, in Kenya, we're working with Digital Green, and in Ethiopia, we're working with this great AI company called Leyu. People have amazing ideas where they genuinely want to harness the knowledge that their communities inherently have, and that's really what this platform allows. It's just kind of like an accelerator to allow people to very easily say, "Hey, I want to partake in your knowledge. I want your knowledge to contribute to what I'm building, and I want to pay you for it." So what we're really hoping is for Karya to be deeply contextualized. I mean, we're offering it as a white labeled service, right? We want it to be of each country or each movement, right? Maybe it's about language in some countries. Maybe it's about documenting some sort of language preservation. I mean, I think one of the most interesting projects that we did recently at Karya was documenting recipes of very like tribal communities that have never, mostly not even been seen by many Indians, but actually never even like documented or experienced before. And it's actually a multimedia documentation that acts now as cultural heritage documentation, right? I mean, it doesn't even have to be about AI. It can just be about preservation and wanting to make a culture or make a community actually come together creating data. And so I think that's the larger idea. Data is something that's beautiful. It's something that's valuable. Can we make everyone in this world more of a partaker of that economy? Because it's not just about, why should it just be all the big tech companies profiting and making great money off of data? Everyone has something valuable to provide. So I think that's what I kind of want to leave everyone with. But thank you so much, Gustav.
That's fantastic, and a great note to end on. And I'm looking forward to seeing the local recipes. That sounds like a fantastic project. Guys, we posted Safiya's details in the chat. Please reach out to her if you've got questions. Obviously, you could reach out to our team as well if you're interested in the platform as a service product that they're providing. But just wanted to thank again Safiya for joining us here, for the amazing work you guys are doing, and looking forward to seeing you guys provide dignified work to 100 million users around the world, and really excited about the work. Thank you so much.
Thanks,
Great. And now we're going to hand over to Ricardo to talk a little bit about product and what's been cooking in the last month. Over to you, Ricardo.
Thank you, Gustav. And thank you, Safiya. You said so many things that resonated with me. One of the things you mentioned was how in this age of AI, how human connection is so important. And that's something we spend a lot of time thinking here at Turn, because we believe that AI is a big part of the future, but we also believe that human experience is going to be the thing that differentiates a lot of these new AI services that are coming out. And recently, we've been working on something that will enable you to have even deeper emotional human connections. So if you go to the next slide, please. We have some really big news today. We're launching voice calls, the beta, to all pro and enterprise customers, bringing voice communication directly into your help desk. So if you've been to the previous town halls, you know that we've been experimenting and testing and having a small contained beta pilot with a few select customers. And now we're enabling this to everyone. You're going to receive an email when this is enabled for you with further instructions on how to set this up. And today I'm also going to be telling a little bit about how all this works. Voice calls enable you to unify calls and chat in the same place, and enables you to reach your users and them to reach you as easily as it would a friend or a family member. And this ties to what Safiya was saying earlier around WhatsApp being such a familiar design pattern and platform, and bringing this to the world of business is going to enable to have these connections in a really familiar place. And voice calls, they drive higher engagement and stronger customer trust, but they also lead to quicker responses and improved satisfaction, which if this is a key metric for you, it's something that's going to help you a lot. And sometimes, I don't know if you've been through this, I go through this all the time. Sometimes when you're trying to solve a complex problem, chat, gets a bit cumbersome. You have to send all the messages back and forth, and it's just easier to jump on the call. And this provides you to have this effortless escalation between chat and calls and vice versa, and also between your team members. So without further ado, let's get into it and how to actually set this up and how it works. All right, next slide, please. So first of all, when you get an email, this is not available yet, but when you get an email, when you go to your settings, there's going to be a new tab there labeled calls. And on the top, there's going to be a switch that if you click on, you can enable voice calls. From the moment we enable this, you can now make and receive voice calls, but there's a few extra settings on how you want calls to actually to behave. So let's start with actually receiving calls from your customers. So one of the settings is display call buttons. And what this means is if you look at the phone on the right, if you enable the setting, your users are going to be able to see a little call icon on the top right and also inside of your profile. And if they tap on that, they can immediately call you. So from the moment where you enable the setting, people can immediately start calling you. There's also another situation where sometimes you want to ask them to call you, prompt them to call you. If you go to the next slide, you can do that with a template. So you can just create a template, and there's a new setting that enables you to prompt them to call you. So if you look on the right, if you send that template, there's a little call us button on the bottom. If they click that, it immediately starts calling you. All of this is going to appear on your help desk, and there's a little video on the next slide, just so you can see how it looks. So when someone calls you, you get a little this beautiful sounding notification that someone is calling you, and you can immediately pick up that call straight from the help desk without having to leave Turn.io. Now let's go to the next slide and see how you can actually make phone calls yourself to users. So if you go to the next slide, exactly, there's for WhatsApp to prevent businesses from spamming users requires you to request permission to call a user. So the first thing you need to do if you want to call someone is to ask for permission, and that is done via a template. Again, there's a new extra section at the bottom of the template creation form, and if you just switch that on, that template is going to send a permission request. If you go to the next slide, you can see how this works. I already sent a permission request in this particular example, but you can find it where your templates already live. Even if you select that, right at the top, you're going to see a call button. And if you click on that call button, you can immediately call users. This went a little bit fast, but there's a little timestamp in that button. You can call a user from the moment where they granted you permission for 7 days. So after 7 days, that permission expires and you're going to have to request permission again. Again, these are all measures from Meta to prevent businesses from spamming users and to have healthier services. A few more extra things are good to know. So first of all, if you're like me, you're already thinking, okay, what if my operators aren't online right now? So you're able to set business hours. Hours in which someone can call you. If someone's outside this, if someone's trying to call outside these business hours, the system will deal with it elegantly. Next slide. Yes, we also have AI-generated transcriptions because when you want to refer back to a previous call or what was discussed in the previous call, if you're trying to help someone after that call, you can just read the transcript there. Summaries are in the roadmap. And then finally, this is important to know, as you've noticed, there's a new inbox, and calling only works on the new inbox. So in order to fully utilize calling and unleash all its power, make sure that you switch the new inbox on. And also, although calling is going to be free for the duration of the beta, there's still WhatsApp or Meta charges. So make sure that your account is fully topped up. You can find the top-up form if you go into your profile and then conversation billing. This is the same billing if you're sending, for example, message templates via reminders. It all comes from the same wallet. So just make sure you're fully topped up so that you can actually make calls to customers. Also, calling is currently available on a few select countries. This is a limitation from Meta side. I'm sure this is going to be globally available after the beta period ends. But during the beta, these are the only countries in which calling is available. So if you spot your flag there, it means calling is available for you and your users. And then the biggest caveat of it all, this is a beta, not just for Turn, but also for Meta. So we've been experimenting with this quite a lot ourselves. And although most of the times it works perfectly as you expect it to be, minor issues are expected. And if you do come across these issues, we'd ask you to please provide this feedback to us via support@turn.io, or via just the usual channels that you interact with us. We're going to be sending you via email a link to an article that contains all the information that I just showed you, so that you can refer to it if you want to enable calling to your number and start making calls. So we're super excited about this, and we can't wait to hear your feedback. Thank you very much. And now I'm going to be passing it over to Lisa.
Thanks, Ricardo. I think this is the perfect way to introduce the accelerator, which is specifically focusing on health and AI. But this will be the perfect time for you to try out this new calling feature. And also, as Safiya pointed out, the accelerators create a really good environment for you to test those ideas that you've been kind of mulling over. This time, we are looking specifically for organizations who are ready to scale, have bold ideas, and want to get started as soon as possible. So what do you get as part of the accelerator? You get access to an advanced technology toolkit. You'll be one of the team members that will have access to a multimodal voice agents, the help desk, as well as journeys, and now also calling. You'll also be supported by an entire team of experts right through from AI and conversational engineering to behavioral science and digital health experts. And we'll also help you think through your use case, particularly in how to ensure that it's sustainable past the accelerator period. You'll be accessing team expertise and also a cohort of fellow members that will join you in the accelerator. There's lots of opportunities for learning together in the cohort environment. The priority use cases that we're looking for, if we can go to the next slide, thank you, and we can move on, is anything in health, but particularly if you're thinking about, patient onboarding or appointment reminders or telehealth. These are just some of the ideas that we're looking to see in the accelerator, but bring your own ideas if you have some ideas on how you can use chat technology and AI specifically to drive your health outcomes. And then lastly, as I mentioned, we are looking to scale. This is really wanting to put an A-team cohort together where you have big ambitions. You have already thought about your sustainable business model, be it through partnerships with government or an end user pay model. We will help you think through those business use cases. And although you don't have to be super technical, it does help that you are familiar with using chat technology and AI tooling. So we're super excited for this accelerator. It will move fast. We will scale big, and we are excited to build out some amazing use cases during this time. I want to remind you that the deadline for applications is the end of July. So only a few weeks left for you to apply. Once we'll be doing a round of interviews, and we'll get started shortly in September. So look forward to receiving those applications. We will share the link to the form in the chat window. And if you've got any questions about your use case or the application, feel free to reach out to me directly. Over to you, Pippa.
Thanks, Lisa. And yes, we're super excited about getting the next cohort of accelerator participants up and running. So please do share the news about the new Health and AI Accelerator and help us get the most incredible organizations to join us. But today, thanks to all of you for joining Town Hall, and especially to our guest speaker from Karya, Safiya, for sharing such, thoughtful and really inspiring work. That really reminds us that the future of work isn't just about these emerging technologies, but it's about how we use these tools to include and to support and to empower real people. I thought it was such an interesting insight that you redesigned your app interface to look and feel like WhatsApp, and making it instantly familiar and more trustworthy for first-time users. But that then you use WhatsApp to support your gig workers directly, helping them navigate the app, complete tasks that can succeed in their role. And I thought it was a great example of really meeting workers where they are, using the tools they already understand, and to build confidence and increase participation in this new digital and AI economy that we're building at the moment. So we're also very proud to be launching calling to all our customers today. It's been a long time initiative. The product team has been working really, really hard to make sure that we can make voice and call-based interventions easier to build, so we can reach even more people in ways that really work best for them. So thanks again for being here. Keep building with purpose, and we'll see you at the next Town Hall.